Welcome to the XY Advisor Podcast, a global community of financial advisors sharing and learning with one another to drive the positive evolution of financial advice. To get involved, go to xyadvisor.com or simply download the XY Advisor app. Hub24 is on a mission to empower advisors to deliver better financial futures for their clients. They are dedicated to customer service excellence and delivering innovative product solutions that create value for advisors and their clients. These are just some of the reasons why advisors rate them number one for overall satisfaction and why their managed portfolio solution has been rated best in market 5 years running. Hub24 believes nothing happens in isolation. So they're working together with advisors, licensees, and industry leaders to leverage their data and technology expertise to help solve key challenges in the delivery of financial advice, so more Australians can access cost-effective advice. Welcome back to the XY Advisor Podcast. I'm Fraser Jack, and today I am joined by two people, Women on Wealth, Anna and Michelle. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fraser.
Fantastic. Thank you for being here. We're recording this actually live in person because we live in Queensland. Aren't we lucky? Now, tell us about, Michelle, I might get you to start. Tell us about your business.
Okay, so we started our business back in 2016. Actually, the company was registered about a year before that, but it took us, I was waiting on someone to finish their long service leave period. which we'll get into, isn't it? We certainly will. The business was started in 2016. We have an office in Mudrobah. We're a boutique practice and self-licensed.
Wonderful. And how many staff?
So we've got 3 permanent staff, and then we have 1 casual staff, and then the 2 advisors.
Wonderful. Now, we might go back in time. We'll start with you, Anna. Tell us about your story. How did you fall into financial planning?
I arrived in Australia on the Gold Coast when I was 23 years old. I was pregnant with twins at the time, and I saw the skyline, all the high skyscrapers, and I'd just finished my degree, a commerce degree, where I'd majored in marketing, and I had finance as a sub-major. Anyway, I saw the skyline and I thought, woohoo, here I am. These are all office buildings. My career will take off. And then I found out they were all hotels. There was no marketing at all on the Gold Coast. And after a few job interviews, I just happened to be employed by a company that dealt in financial advice or whatever that looked like at the time. And that's how I started in it.
Wonderful. So you got caught up in the bright lights, then found yourself a job in what sort of, was it banking or was it finance? Or?
No, it was a financial services company. I only stayed there for 9 months. That they were, I suppose, the typical kind of company that all these reforms have come about to shut down.
Right.
But you really got thrown into the deep end in terms of your learning curve. So I learned a lot, very quickly decided this is not the company I want to work for. So I left and became an assistant and paraplanner to a lifey. And, one thing led to another. Eventually I went and worked for one of the big 4 banks as an advisor, became a senior planner there and stayed there for 10 years, literally to the day.
Yep.
So that's how I fell into it.
Fantastic. So a good learning, good grounding from the bank side of it, some good, 10 years in the bank and learning all the different parts of how that works.
It was really, really good. The thing about the bank is there were just so many clients and you didn't have to go looking for business. You just learned as you went, and there was a lot of support. You just needed to learn how to find it because that wasn't a given. But you made a lot of really good friends, a lot of good contacts, the other financial planners. It was a really tight-knit group where you had each other's back. It was really, really good.
Yeah, fantastic. And that's obviously where you two met. Well, we'll get to that part of the story shortly. Michelle, tell us about your story.
So I came to Australia at the ripe old age of 19 with my family from Scotland. I had varied jobs when I got here. None of them were related to finance at the start. So I was a stock controller. I used to sell space in an advertising directory. I ended up in the motor industry where we did aftermarket sales. So I quickly sort of learned from there that I wanted to get into finance because some of the guys that were in there, were doing the car loans, and of course it was the money that called me, Fraser, at that time. And they were the ones that were earning the money in the dealerships at that time. So that's how I fell into finance, and I was really good with people. So that was something that I sort of found early on. People used to think maybe my accent would be a detractor, but I always found in a sales sort of environment that it worked well for me, and people just wanted to talk to me, so that was nice. And then from being in car finance, I ended up being a mortgage broker. Went into home lending. That was back in 2005. By 2011, I'd gone through the GFC and all the lovely things that brought to the lending industry. Ended up at St George Bank. Went in there originally as a lender, became a branch manager, but did want to get into financial planning. They seem to have the much more glamorous life at St George. They sort of come in and out of the branches and they weren't in the trenches so much. So I thought, well, that glamour's for me. Little did I know that was in 2014, which when all the reforms had just been passed. So I think I got in just after all the glamour had left the industry.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So you were in the bank as well, and that's how you guys met?
Absolutely.
Tell us about that story.
Well, I was working at Westpac Bank. I'd been there for close to 10 years, and I kept on thinking, it's time to go. It's time to go. I want to do this on my own. You can only work for a bank for so long, I think, and then it's time to go. Anyway.
So was that in your mind? Was that go and set up a practice of your own?
Yep. Or find maybe employment elsewhere, and I was tossing and turning, but I really thought, no, become self-employed. You've done this for a long time. You know what you're doing. You enjoy the job. You love, the people, the stories. It's really what I want to do. There was no question that I wanted to stay a financial planner. And my closest friend at the time was working at St. George. She was a lender there. And she told me there's a financial planner that I've met at St. George. She's sort of same age, also has kids, looking to start her own business. You two really, really need to meet. And this went on for a few months. And then we did happen to meet because the St. George and Westpac were one company, and they put all the financial planners into some kind of office building together. So that's where we met. We found out when we met that our children were in the same class and had been for years. We'd never met through the school.
You were working too hard, Anna, that's why.
This is what we actually... when everyone had gone home and the two of us were still there every evening, punching away at the keyboards, we kind of went, why are we doing this not for ourselves? So I think we met in March, and I resigned from Westpac. I think it was the 1st of August or 30. So very quickly, within a few months of meeting, we'd literally put our, that sort of trust in each other was always there, which was lovely. And we just went. One
of those connections at first sight sort of things, was it? When you first got to meet each other? Tell me about that. How long was it before you actually decided, Michelle, that you wanted to start a business together?
Well, it was a bit of a whirlwind romance, I must say. Anna's my work wife, of course. So when we met, well, we just had that immediate connection. We were both the same age, both married to a Stuart, which was funny. Our children being in the same school, and our older children being in the same class. So it just seemed like all the stars were aligning. As Anna said, we were, I remember one night we were there at 10 p.m. thinking, at the commercial centre there at Broadbeach, and thinking, what are we doing? We really need to move from here. I was in a position where I ended up being one of the last planners standing at St. George Bank. So it wasn't a great place for me to be at the time, but I loved the role. I absolutely love people. So, dealing with clients and everything. So I knew this is what I wanted to keep on doing. It was really important to me to still be doing that. But that's why I'd already kind of started concocting a plan of my great escape from the bank. I guess the bank was never actually a long-term plan for me. I went in there specifically to become a financial planner. A friend of mine gave me some advice. about if I wanted to get into financial planning, not to do a certain path through one of the majors that you'll know what I'm talking about, like a discovery type program. I can't remember the name of it precisely. But he said to me, go into the bank, you will get the best training there, you will see every client from every walk of life, and you'll learn really quickly. And so that's what I did. And so that's how Anna and I met and decided that we would do this together. So we just had an instant connection. We still have that. We're just an awesome team. We've got our strengths and weaknesses, each of us. But we play to each other's strengths, I think. And we've come a long way.
Yeah. Tell me about that moment, Anna, when you started the business up. It was obviously there's a fair bit to set up and business names to think about and structures. And
Michelle had actually already done all that. She had Woman on Wealth. She said, do I like it? I'm like, yep, let's do this. Michelle had been self-employed before as a broker. I hadn't. I'd never been self-employed. So she was a little bit further down the road in terms of, ABNs and companies and all sorts of things. And I just jumped on board and off we went.
Yeah, so no nerves or anything, just straight.
Tremendous nerves.
Yep.
Tremendous nerves. I had, I've got 5 kids. 4 were still at school at the time, and so the school fees, I was the main income earner, and massive mortgage, just all the pressures involved in that. But yet I just knew it was the right thing to do. I'd wanted to do it for a while, and it was just, you read all the books and you go, yeah, you need to be courageous, and you go, well, yes, now's the time. You don't just read it, you do it.
The moment of truth, the time to be courageous.
Yep. So pretty much we waited until my 10-year anniversary at Westpac was done. I took a screenshot of my long service leave coming through because I thought, well, that's a few months, of cash flow that I don't have to worry about. And then we resigned, or I resigned. I was put on gardening leave straight away, so that was great. Michelle was the only planner in St. George between, I think, Sydney and Cairns, so they didn't put her on gardening leave. She had to work the full month. I painted our new office in the meantime, so that was, so we just tag teamed.
Fantastic. And Michelle, tell me about the name, where that come from, and obviously it was a strategic move.
Yes, it was, because what I found in my time, not just doing the financial planning, but in the mortgage side of things before, was that women lacked a lot of confidence when it came to financial matters. And when I was at the bank, I actually found that a lot of female clients gravitated to me and told me how much they valued me being a woman, and that it was lovely dealing with me. Because I was sort of one of the last men standing at St. George, I did inherit a lot of clients. And, some of my clients made comment that they might have had an experience before where people would just talk at them and use a whiteboard and make it all complicated. And they found it really very simple when I was explaining things to them. I could do it concisely and clearly in a way that they understood. And so I guess that's where it came from, was I thought, I want to help women. I want to be known as, if people look up my business name, I want them to immediately know that we are women, that we help women. We don't just help women, of course, as you'll find out, but I just wanted to be approachable. And, as I went through, I was actually doing my Master of Financial Planning at that point, because I'd started that as soon as I became a planner. And, the statistics are pretty grim when they talk about the number of female financial planners and even the literacy of women, financial literacy. That's where that came from. So that was something that I had in my mind when I was going to do that anyway. And then when I didn't really want to do it on my own. I wanted to do it with someone. And when Anna agreed that told me that she was wanting to go out in business herself as well, I sort of ran the idea past her, which was fantastic that she also agreed and really was quite excited about the whole concept of it.
Yeah, it's an incredible initiative and story that goes with it. Tell us about your team that you've created over that time.
Yeah, so we are all women. And actually our newest staff member is a sheepadoodle, and she's also a girl, so she comes into the office every now and then. So we are all female. We did actually have a male paraplanner at one point, but in the office we're all female. it's not that we wouldn't employ any men. Can I just put that there?
Yeah,
and
no,
we're
that's
definitely
fine.
not men haters at all. I'm very happily married and absolutely love my husband. Heaps of great males in my life. It's just the way it's happened, I guess. Also, when we have advertised for staff, we mainly get women applying. As you can imagine, not that many men probably want to work at Women on Wealth. So yeah, that might be a bit of it as well. But yeah, we've got a great team. We're all very down to earth. We love a chat. We're very supportive. So it's everyone mucks in. We're a very small business still at the moment. So we, Anna and I probably wear too many hats at the moment. But yeah, it's just about supporting one another. We're all mums. So all of us are mums in there of either children or pets. So we've all got responsibilities. We understand all those things. So yeah, that makes it a good working environment.
Yeah,
and flexible. We all need to be flexible because we've got our other loves of our lives, which are not the business. So just making sure that we can work with one another and support one another to get things done, but have a good work-life balance as well.
Yeah, amazing. Now, Anna, tell us about that growth from the practice of just being the two of you to where you are now.
Yeah, so when we started, we didn't have a single client. We literally opened the doors without a client, and it was build it and they will come, and they did. We had a number of clients contact us from the banks, which did not go down well with the banks, so we had to actually turn them away, even if they contacted us. But lots of referrals. My referrals probably came a lot from the contacts I'd made in the banks. A lot of those people had left to start their own businesses, and to this day, I get referrals from them. Clients then refer. At one stage, we bought a book of clients from an advisor who was exiting the industry, so that certainly helped. But we've never advertised. I mean, we've got a website, but we don't advertise. It's all word of mouth, and I don't know. It's just...
Yeah, fantastic. And how many years has it been?
5.
5 years. And what about the staff growth? Tell us about that.
We we had one staff. We've had a few false starts. We've had some really good people. We've had people that have come in and then moved on because a few of them wanted to be financial planners. I don't know why, because we can't make it.
You make it look too good, do you?
Yeah, well,
very glamorous. Very glamorous.
There's no frustration or swearing in our office ever at all. It's just glamour.
Your nose is getting longer, Anna.
I imagine it's talent like it is Tuesday, I would say.
Our office is right next door to another business called the Whiskey Bar, and let me tell you, there are days that straight after work, not often, but you just need to...
So does the Whiskey Bar complain about the noise coming from you guys? Is that how it works?
No, luckily they're actually closed most of the day
and
open just in time for the afternoon drinks.
Sounds like you guys could combine offices, maybe share office space.
Yeah. Our other neighbour is a singing school for kids. So we, in the afternoons, if your windows are open, you hear little kids warbling away. It's really funny. You hear them through the,
Yeah,
it's
fantastic.
It's very sweet. Yeah.
And so your office is in a shopping zone or a strip shopping centre?
It's in Madribar Village. It's got a lovely villagey feel. We're just off the village green. In winter, the local ladies knit tree warmers. They look like leg warmers for trees. There's something about Madribar that's it's just lovely and friendly, and we love it.
Yeah,
we love it.
You're making it sound really corporate, by the way.
It's definitely not corporate in Madribar, but I think that's one of the reasons that we fell in love with it. Actually, we didn't go out looking for a space in Madribar. We actually came here to Robina, funnily enough, and we just couldn't find the right space here, and a friend of mine owned a cafe over there. So after a long day of searching for premises, we thought we'll go over and we'll support her business, and we'll go and have a coffee and, have a download and have a talk about the things we have seen. And when we were sitting there was a big for lease sign across the road. And so we thought we'll go in and have a look there. And it was an ex-accountant's office. So it was all set up, with different offices already, so we didn't have to do a lot of work to it. The paint job was a bit average, but and a nice blue carpet, which we have now replaced. But it just seemed that was meant to be, and we thought, we'll see how we go here. We did a 3-year lease on the place. We then renewed it for another 3 years. We love it there. You know, it's a bit unexpected that sometimes we actually get walk-ins, and I just never would have expected that. But I think because we've been there for a long time now, people know that we're there and they're starting to get to know us, and it's actually a really friendly little village. We absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's an interesting having a little shop front / practice, isn't it? Because if people do walk past all the time, they will get familiar with it, and the fact that you've been there for 5 odd years, that trust factor is built over time.
Yeah, and we get to know, you know, we do some collections for some local women's charities, and so we have little ladies walking in all the time and dropping things off. So Share the Dignity is one of the charities that we support there, and so we have little ladies come in and drop off handbags full of cosmetics and lotions and potions and you know, women's sanitary items, all the things that you know, some less privileged women don't have access to. So that's really important to us, and we hold events and things there, so we are quite known in the community now, which is awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, tell us about your advice process. Where does it start, and how do you, if a new client comes in, what's the process they go through?
It depends on where they've come from, really. But normally we would probably have a quick conversation on the phone, just make sure that we are the right person for them. We get them into the office to have what we call a financial planning discovery session. Now, we used to do that for free, that session, but we've learned over the years that we need to value ourselves and our service and, you know, the information that and guidance that we give to people. So we do charge an upfront fee for that now. And then if clients go on to advice from there, then we obviously agree on a plan fee, and we'll actually deduct that first appointment fee from that. Okay. So yeah, and from there, obviously, it's the usual process: the research, the development, this preparation of the statement of advice.
Yeah, fantastic. So I'll just go back to that discovery meeting, Anna. So if a client, that's 90 minutes, what are you looking for in that meeting?
Well, generally before they come in, we'll send them a fact find. So we're not wasting time gathering data. We would have preferably received that fact find first, so we've got a bit of an idea. And really it's you know, why are you here? What's important to you? Just digging a little bit deeper, giving them maybe a few ideas that they haven't considered. Did you know that maybe you could do this? Maybe you could do that. I think often people leave there feeling a little bit calmer, like there's, you know, when you've been doing it for a while, you know that there's solutions, and you can, without jumping straight into solution mode, you can guide them so that they feel a little bit more secure, that there are things they can do to secure themselves. So yeah, it's just literally let them talk. I find I try to talk not very much and just let them talk as much as possible. To find out find out their story, what's important to them, what they're all about. Because money, at the end of the day, I think money is, it's just money. It just supports their life. What's their life? What's important, and we'll make the money fit whatever it is that they, you know.
Yep. And in that session, are you explaining your fee structure and how you work and how much you charge in that meeting, or is that done beforehand or online?
I think generally when people ask what the fee is, if they ask us beforehand, well, we don't know how complex your situation is. So during the discovery meeting, towards the end of it, we'd have a good idea of how much work is involved, and we would, you know, sign a fee agreement with them. We have got a pricing structure, you know, in terms of minimums and so forth. And if things are more complex, we would price that in and get them to agree on. To it at the time. Yeah.
We actually do send out an email when we book that discovery appointment, which obviously outlines the fee that we charge for the discovery appointment, and it does clearly state that if we go to personal advice after that meeting, that there are other charges. And of course, we've attached our financial services guide to that, which has our fixed fee agreement.
Yep. Fantastic. And how did you come up with that fee range for all the different products? How did you go about?
Just trial and error. We've
underpriced ourselves for way too long, Fraser. Yep. That's how we came up with it.
That sounds like the way that most people have done it.
Yeah. So we've gradually increased our fees over the years. we were way underpriced at the start, and I think that came from probably being in the bank where you get paid a salary and they had a fee structure, and you charge this tiny little plan fee and then you would charge a big implementation fee. We just don't do that anymore. We charge a larger plan fee and rarely actually an implementation fee unless it's really complex. So it's all priced in the service for that initial advice.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing for people is when you've been charging a lower fee, and then all of a sudden now not all of a sudden, but you've now increased it. How have you gone with those conversations with clients when you have to say to them, well, you were paying this, but now we have to pay a bit more?
No problem, actually. How it was more of a problem, not for the client, but for Anna and I. We really had to be in, I think this actually is a female thing as well from the research that I've read, is we don't like to ask for money, and we certainly undervalue ourselves a lot. So I think the number one thing was actually getting our mindset right, that we do a lot of work and we do really good work. And so we should actually charge for that, because it's not just that time that the client's sitting in front of you. Of course, it's all the background work that you've done as well, and all the work that comes after it, and all the education that you've done, and the insurance, and, all these guys listening to this podcast will know where we're coming from with that. So Anna and I we made a little price menu. That's how we actually overcame our fear. And so to make that conversation easier, we would bring out our little laminated menu of pricing, and that had our base plan fee, and then if you added on extra strategies, blah blah blah. So the more work we had to do, the larger the price of the plan. I don't use that myself anymore. I don't think Anna does either. We now just are confident to do it, but that was how we got over that. And it was so funny because clients would just look at it and say, oh, yep, no, that's fine. And so that was how we overcame the price barrier. It was more in our heads than the clients.
Yeah, it's a really good tip, isn't it? The little comfort blanket to have there to say, here are the fees, and it doesn't have to physically come out of your mouth immediately. Did it also help, Anna, that the fact that you could talk about this between each other? It wasn't just you and the client trying to work this out?
100%. I think having a business partner to run ideas past, and we're very different in lots of respects. We see things differently. So when we debate things, generally we come in somewhere in the middle, and it's never 100% perfect. It gets altered and modified as we go along. But I think having a business partner, you just you cast your net a little bit wider. You look at things that another person might not have seen. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And so we've been through the discovery process. How many other meetings and what's the time frame you'll spend with the client after that?
Well, it really just depends. Sometimes you go straight from that to preparing the statement of advice and having an advice meeting. But sometimes if it's more complex or more research needs to be done, or there's, a few different strategies that you're exploring, you might have an interim meeting to go, well, look, this is what I've come up with. Here's a few options. And developing the advice from that. So 2 to 3 meetings all in all. Yep. And then we do, annual advice agreements for clients who we see regularly, sometimes once a year, twice a year, depending on the client, depending what's important to them.
Yep, fantastic. And with your demographic of clients, is there any specific demographic, or have you purposely decided that you want to work with this particular type of client?
No, so the clients that we have mainly at the moment are retirees, pre-retirees. That's not our target market as such. That was because of the book of business that we bought, and then the clients that we had originally were mainly retirees and pre-retirees. We're actually aiming more for younger families now and professionals. So that's the market we're trying to attract now. But, phrase it, at the end of the day, we actually love everyone. I think that's the thing. And we've got such a varied, and to me, it keeps it interesting for me as well if I'm not doing exactly the same thing every day. And I know some people wouldn't agree with that, and, they think that you should specialise in one area. I don't find that at all. I love the variety of dealing with people from all walks of life. So no client's a turn away client automatically to me because they don't tick the right boxes.
Yeah, I find when I'm talking to people that sometimes businesses are set up based on who might be the most profitable type of client in that particular marketplace. Like, we're working with retirees because there's a lot of them and we can make money off them. But then people tend to go towards their own values or their own demographic, or people like yourselves.
Well, I think Anna and I did say women of our age with families, with commitments, with careers, they're people who relate really well to us, obviously, because we're all in the same boat. And we are sort of getting to that age where you're starting to think about retirement and, it's not so far away. So we are actually our ideal client.
Enough, Michelle, come on.
Oh, come on, Anna. Come on. I live in the real world, Anna. Well, it depends what age you want to retire, Anna. If you want to work till you're 70, that's okay. But
and also it wouldn't hurt for clients that enjoy drinking whiskey to be clients as well. Now, tell me about your licensing. You're currently self-licensed?
Yes, we were when we left the banks and started. We were licensed through one of the big charter, really. And there were a lot of frustrations with being licensed through someone else because they do just the level of red tape, and it's none of it makes sense, or a lot of it doesn't make sense. It's actually unintended consequences and all the rest of it. And I had a bit of a turning point. Michelle was actually the one that said we need to be self-licensed. Michelle's far more more adventurous than me business-wise. I'm a little bit more conservative and it takes me a while. But I had a client call me wanting to have to get some advice, and my licensee pretty much told me, walk away from it, you're not allowed to provide it. And it was just a young lady I had advised her on some insurance. A couple of years later, she phoned, she was pregnant, she just was on maternity leave, she'd lost her job while she was on maternity leave, she was downsized, and she wanted to know what to do with her income protection. There is a feature in income protection products, which was, the premium holiday, while she was trying to work it out. And my licensee told me that because her circumstances had changed, for me to tell her that there was this feature, I needed to do a statement of advice, a full statement of advice, because her circumstances had changed. She was now unemployed and she had a child. And obviously I said, well, am I allowed to charge for this? And they said, well, yes, you are. And I'm going, well, for me to charge her to do this advice would cost more than
the
benefit of not paying her premium for the next 4 months while she found a new job. So the benefit is $80 a month, or whatever it is, times by 4 months, versus the amount of time it will take me to meet with her, do a new fact find or a statement of advice. So it's actually not in her best interest for me to give her advice. So they said, well, you've got to walk away from it. So I've got a lady that's on the other side of the phone crying because she doesn't know what to do. And red tape dictates that I just say, look, phone the insurance provider while I'm getting paid a ongoing premium. And I thought, this is just rubbish. This is not how humans should deal with each other. And so I think that was the turning point for me to be the master of my own fate.
Fantastic. That was the moment. That was a single moment. Tell me about setting up the license.
So setting up the license was it was quite a seamless process, really. We had a great agent who helped us with that. He helped us through a lot of the paperwork and everything. Obviously, it's not something that we do every day. He was the expert in that area, and we paid him to help us get everything right and tick all the boxes. And obviously, we are comprehensive advisors, so our qualifications and everything all stacked up for ASIC. And we really found it quite an easy process. It was about 6 weeks. There's obviously a lot involved in it, but I do thank Charter for the fact that we were so on the ball with everything. They gave us a lot of opportunity when we started. So we had all our compliance things in order. We knew what we had to be doing. So we were quite regimented about that kind of thing. It was just more a case of getting the paperwork right for them. And we were a bit scared about doing it. There's no doubt about it, because you don't know what lies on the other side, But there's always one saying that I always loved was, everything you want is on the other side of fear. And I think it's been the best move for us. We're really flourishing being self-licensed. We can, we've got a compliance team that we hire, so we don't do it on our own. We make sure that we're keeping on top of things, and they really help us navigate through what are we allowed to do and what are we not allowed to do. And everyone talks about this thing about affordable advice. And I actually think that the major licensees, they're not the right fit for our group, because they would put so many layers on things that were probably unnecessary, and they were actually a barrier for us to providing affordable advice. And to me, that's one of the most important things. Everyone should have advice. There's so many studies out there that show how much better people perform financially in their lives when they have a bit of guidance. And the kind of red tape that Anna was talking about before, I mean, it's just unacceptable. The being self-licensed is, without a doubt, the best move that we've made.
Well, great story. Now, tell us about the future of the business. Where to from here?
We're looking at a number of things. We're looking specifically at maybe aged care advice and getting a little bit more involved in that. We've got a client book that are aging. So that's something we've started, really educating ourselves on, and we're looking at getting some promotional things there. We're also looking at doing some things online in terms of providing, I suppose, more general advice, which is affordable. So piecemeal, I suppose you'd call it, or on
more like coaching, I guess.
Yeah, coaching on certain topics. Yeah,
yeah, more like a general educating people, because you don't know what you don't know. So educating people so that they can become our ideal client, so helping them from the ground up, where they don't have to pay us a fortune and they can get on the right track. And actually, there's so many people doing some great things out there. In the last month, I've had several clients actually come from another advisor's sort of podcast and group. They've been educating themselves through podcasts, and that advisor's interstate, so they weren't able to go there. So I've managed to pick up a couple of clients just coming in from things they've heard on other advisors' podcasts. I think if we're all in this together, we educate people the right way and we give them the free resources, instead of us seeming like, I guess, I hate to use this expression, but I'm going to use it, a stiff in a suit. If we don't seem that way and we're more approachable, we're going to get that younger demographic, and we can really make a difference to people, and more of a difference, even more so of a difference when they're younger, as we all know. So, I just think for me, I'm actually really passionate about that part of it. I want to help younger people actually get in the door and not see it as mystical. And there's been some great things. We don't all agree with all the teachings of, some of the self-help books and everything out there. However, if you get people talking about money, I think that's the main thing, and talking about getting your finances and your house in order and making sure your family's protected and planning for the future, because it's quite scary when you look at the statistics of what's coming up for, I think about my children. And, the aging population and what's that's going to mean for my younger children, and supporting more older people, and how are we actually going to manage that as an economy. And so I think if we do all these little tiny steps along the way, we can make the world a better place, as cliche as that may sound.
Fantastic. I think we're all on the same page. Yeah, I love the concept of advisors having their own podcast and just getting information out there around the value of advice and how they help and some of those stories that happen. How are you planning on getting your message out?
Well, first of all, I have to have some time, Fraser, but that's why I was asking about the podcast and things before. We do have a Facebook group. We also are looking at doing some just, more follow the bouncing ball type workbooks and things like that. But I think social media is definitely the way to go for the younger generation if we're looking for them. Search engines, maybe more so for the aged care advice that Anna was talking about, and the aged care advice space that we want to go into is mainly so that we can look after and service our own clients going forward. Just making sure that we're out there. We get everything from word of mouth referrals at the moment. So to expand our business and grow our business, I think we really need to adopt technology. which neither of us are actually that amazing with. So,
well, it's like the saying goes, on the other side of fear, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I guess that's, you hire the people that know how to use the tools. You don't necessarily have to be an expert yourself, do you?
Absolutely. Now, so are you looking at more advisors over time, or?
We've got not enough. What's the expression
Too many chiefs. We need more Indians.
Except that's a terrible expression.
No,
it's absolutely terrible. You can't say that.
Okay, sorry.
What she means
edit
is
that. So yes,
what she means is we've got too many people that are advisors and not enough support staff at the moment. So we probably need to get more support staff before we actually look at more advisors. But absolutely 100%, we would love to build our business. And one day, I guess we won't be doing the grunt work. So that's the phase for the business where we're more client facing, and the part that Anna and I both love the most is dealing with people. And when you're stuck in a mountain of paperwork, we all know how much we love this. So yeah, we're always exploring new ideas about how we can reduce that burden and make things more seamless.
Yeah, and there's also the fear that comes with employing someone who is client facing, because it's not just the two of us and we trust each other and we know that this is what we do. So again, it's on the other side of that fear, but that will be a big step to actually put someone in our business that does that.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, you mentioned you purchased a business earlier. Would that be something you do again?
We're considering it.
Potentially.
Yeah.
It actually was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, and I'm not so sure. Anna would like to do it again. We'll look at opportunities, absolutely 100%. I'll never say no to any opportunity, but I love new clients that we are starting the process with, and you can do it the way you want to do it right from the start.
Yep, start building that relationship.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate you sharing your story. Tell us about how somebody can get hold of you or find out about you if they wanted to continue the conversation.
Well, we have our website, www.wowealth.com.au. We've got a Facebook page. Anyone's welcome to give us a call or contact us and reach out anytime. We love a chat.
Fantastic.
Yes. Over whiskey.
If you want to head to Madarapa Whiskey, we know where to find you.
Women on Whiskey, not Women on Wealth.
There you go. We've just renamed the business.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Fraser.